If I told you that more than half of what makes your team coaching effective is invisible to the people that are measuring it, you'd probably want to know where it's hiding. That's exactly what my doctoral research revealed. And it's the reason most coaching ROI measurements are wrong. In my study of 291 professionals across 4 industries, team coaching had a direct effect on adaptive performance of 0.361. That's strong, y'all. But the total effect, once you included the indirect pathways, the invisible ones, was 0.766. That's more than double. The gap between 0.361 and 0.766 is 0.405. And that 0.405 didn't disappear. It flowed through 3 specific pathways that most coaching engagements never, ever measure. Today, I'm going to show you exactly where that 0.405 lives and why it matters, and what you need to measure if you want coaching ROI that reflects reality. Before I show you the 3 pathways, I need to make sure we're on the same page on what mediation means in research terms. There's another thing called moderation, but for right now, we're going to focus on just mediation, because the mediation part is where people start to get confused. A direct effect is what happens when one variable influences another without anything in between them. Coaching directly influences adaptive performance, and that's where we get that 0.361. But an indirect effect, a mediated effect, is when one variable influences another variable through a third variable, something in the middle. Coaching influences resilience. Resilience influences adaptive performance. So coaching indirectly influences adaptive performance through resilience. That indirect pathway has its own measurable strength, okay? In my model, coaching had 3 pathways: 2 mediators, resilience and goal commitment, 1 moderator, learning agility, okay? Each one creates its own indirect pathway from coaching to performance. Add them all up, plus the indirect effect, and you get the total effect of 0.766. See, this isn't academic jargon, y'all. This is how you measure what coaching actually does. If you are only measuring the direct effects, this one variable to this other variable, you're seeing less than half of coaching's value. So you're not getting the full picture. The team's adaptive performance improved, but the coaching investment only gets credit for the 0.361 of the 0.766 it actually produced. This is why coaching engagements struggle to prove return on investment. They're measuring the wrong thing, or at least not giving you the complete picture or getting that complete picture right. Let me walk you through each of the 3 pathways, what they mean, and why each one matters differently. Pathway 1, through team resilience. Coaching predicts resilience with a beta of 0.647. Resilience predicts performance with a beta of 0.107. Multiply those through and you get an indirect effect of 0.069. Here's what that means in practice. When coaching is active, It builds the team's structural capacity to absorb disruptions that are occurring. Not individual toughness here. Team resilience is emergent, shared across the team members. That resilience then translates into sustained performance, or what we're calling adaptive performance, when conditions get a little shaky, a little volatile. So if your team had a great coaching engagement and then survived through a quarter without performance dropping, that's the resilience pathway doing its work. See, most organizations would credit the team's grit or something else to this. The data says coaching built the actual grit. Pathway 2, through team goal commitment. Hey, coaching predicts commitment with a beta of 0.681. Commitment predicts performance with a beta of 0.199. The indirect effect is 0.135, nearly double the resilience pathway that we talked about earlier. This is the most powerful mediation pathway in the entire model. And here's why it matters. Coaching doesn't just teach the team what to do. It builds genuine shared ownership of why they're actually doing it. That ownership translates directly into adaptive performance because committed teams don't just execute the plan, they defend the plan, they adjust it and protect it when conditions start to change. The practical implication is this. If your industry conversation is dominated by resilience, you're focused on the weaker pathway. Goal commitment has nearly twice the predictive power. The executives who get this are investing in team alignment and shared purpose first, not just the toughness that they get in training. Pathway 3, through team learning agility. Learning agility works different. It didn't create a traditional mediation pathway the way team resilience and team goal commitment did. Instead, it moderated the relationship between team coaching and team adaptive performance. And it did so in a direction most leaders don't expect. It really did surprise me upon looking at the finding. See, moderation affects the strength and direction of that relationship. The moderation effect was actually negative, a beta of negative 0.102 and a p-value of 0.015. That means teams with lower learning agility benefited more from coaching than teams with higher learning agility. I'm going to do a whole video on this counterintuitive finding next week, so I will not go deep here. But the implication for this video is important. Learning agility changes how much coaching matters for a given team. It's not just another pathway, it's a multiplier. See, these three findings about the pathways, one insight, y'all. Just think about it. The resilience pathway was 0.069. Goal commitments pathway was 0.135. Those are the mediators, right? And again, goal commitment was double that of resilience. Then you add in the moderation through learning agility. Together, these are where you find the missing 0.405 of coaching's impact, where it actually lives at. The invisible majority of coaching's influence flows through these three conditions. If you're not measuring them, though, you're underestimating your coaching ROI by more than half of what you intended to do. Let's translate the research into what it means for how you measure coaching. Most coaching engagements get measured one of two ways. Satisfaction surveys, did the participants enjoy it? Or performance metrics, did the team's outputs improve in the months after? Okay. Satisfaction is a terrible proxy for impact. Your team can love the coach to death and still have no change in behavior. Performance metrics are definitely better, but they miss something critical. The conditions coaching build that sustain performance when pressure increases. See, here's the scenario I've seen play out in dozens upon dozens of organizations. Teams go through coaching, right? The team goes through coaching. Performance improves slightly in the following quarter. Executives see the modest gain and decides coaching isn't worth the investment. 12 months later, the team hits a real crisis and they fall apart completely, collapse right in front of everybody, and executives are wondering what happened. The coaching actually built significant resilience and goal commitment, the invisible pathways. Okay, great. But those conditions were never measured. When the crisis hit, those conditions were what the team needed. Okay. But because nobody measured them, nobody credited coaching with being a part of actually building them, which is the problem. And the next coaching engagement never, ever gets funded. This right here is a measurement gap. It's just a measurement gap. Okay. Something that could have been taken care of. Most organizations measure coaching's ROI of the 0.361. Only the direct effect, if you remember the numbers that we were talking about. They miss the 0.405, flowing through resilience, commitment, and learning agility. They completely miss it. And because they miss it, they systematically underinvest in coaching. And then it just becomes this repetitive cycle. See, the practical implication is this. If you want to measure coaching ROI correctly, you need to measure all 5 constructs before and after. See, there's a pre-coaching baseline here. Coaching intervention, post-coaching measurement. The delta across all 5 constructs is your real return on investment, the real ROI. This is what Thrive Q was built to actually do. It gives you the measurement framework that captures the invisible majority of coaching's impact. So what does this mean practically? 3 shifts, y'all. 3 shifts in how you think about coaching investment and measurement. First, I need you to think about measuring the conditions, not just the outcomes. Think about it. Team resilience, team goal commitment, and team learning agility are all measurable and emergent. Okay? They are leading indicators, y'all. When you measure these before and after coaching, you see where coaching is actually building adaptive capacity, not just whether performance moved in the short term. Second, build multi-year measurement windows. Coaching's invisible pathways show their value when conditions get hard, not when things are easy. If you measure only in the calm quarter, when things are easy, after coaching ends, you'll see the direct effect only. If you measure when real disruption hits, that's when the indirect pathways produce the most measurable impact. That's where you see the gains. Build your ROI framework to capture both the direct and indirect pathways. Third, prioritize commitment over resilience in your coaching strategy. The resilience conversation really dominates the market. It has always dominated the market. But the data shows that goal commitment's indirect effect is nearly double. So which one should you spend your money on first? Actually roll the dice on first. If you have to choose where to focus your actual coaching intensity, the evidence shows commitment moves the needle way, way more. See, the research I just walked you through is the foundation of a diagnostic called ThriveQ. It measures all 5 constructs: team coaching, team resilience, team goal commitment, team learning agility, and team adaptive performance. At the team level, you keep hearing me say team, right? Pre-coaching, post-coaching, longitudinal, over time. That's how you capture the invisible majority of coaching's impact. You can't improve what you don't measure, y'all. You should know this. And you can't justify coaching's investment if you're only measuring less than half of what produces it. Here's the deal. Next week's video is the counterintuitive finding that I mentioned. Why teams with lower learning agility actually benefit more from coaching and not less. If you lead a team and you've been struggling to justify coaching's ROI to executives who think in data, think in the numbers, okay? This is the framework for you. You need to go check out more at atypical.com. The link is in description. You can take a free assessment to get some insights on your teams just to get started. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.